Just some super quick thoughts on everybody's favorite topic nowadays, AI, because I've seen this, I've been a part of it, I've been around it, and I really think that there's a certain mindset that you have to have right now in 2025 about like specifically around this whole topic, because it's going to get very weird very fast. And if it's not something that you're understanding and like really, again, kind of like going through the core concepts on, I think you're going to cause yourself more trouble than it actually is going to benefit you. When I go into ChatGPT or Claude, I am not looking for it to give me like the answer to everything. I'm never going in there and I'm like, hey, there's this radical new thing, this random idea I have, tell me exactly how to do it. I don't think it's there yet. It may be there one day. I also have a quick sidebar here. AI is going to continue to get better. So I don't want to be the guy, because I see this and I'm like, I kind of like, I'm like, I get a little weirded out when people say like AI is never going to do this, it's never going to do that, or it's not going to do, like, it is going to do some shit. Like the amount of stuff that we've seen it be able to do in such a short amount of time, I think it's going to continue to get better. But my point is, right now, this second, the mindset that we still have is really the important part. So my main thing that I want to get across here is, if you jump into AI and you say, I want to do X, Y, and Z, I want to build this thing, I want to do all this sort of stuff, and you're coming from a complete blank slate, it's not really going to do what you think it's going to do, and it's actually probably going to screw you over more than it's going to help you in certain cases. Let me give you a particular example. Let's say that you want to build some sort of crazy like SaaS type product where there's a bunch of things interconnected. It's going to give you like a crazy amount of information most of the time, because it's going to be, either looking at its, LLM, like the stuff it has, or if it's like ChatGPT, maybe it'll even kind of like reach out to the actual internet and get you some information. If it tells you to use like a tool that you're not currently using, now you have to go learn that tool and then hope to God that the information that it gave you was accurate for the specific way that you prompted it. And if you didn't prompt it well enough, it might not even be accurate. Like that, like there might be a disconnect there with the thing that you asked, it internalized incorrectly, gave you something, and it's like, oh, this platform that you have actually doesn't fully, it doesn't fully have the feature set or the capability or whatever that you needed it to. So my point is, just be careful and be cognizant about that. It's definitely an assistant. It's way better than just like throwing stuff at the wall and just like searching all over Google to find stuff. So, but my point is that, especially if you're using AI into like the middle of your project, right? Like you've already had some things set up and you're doing some things, and then you go back and you're like, hey, I want to do this, and you're using like X, Y, and Z tooling to do it. And then you go to the AI and you're like, hey, I think, we have this issue with this thing that we're using, we want a new tool set, or we don't want a new tool set, we just like want to know how to do it. And then it tells you to go look into another tool. And now you're like, well, wait a second, I already have this kind of going. You have to just treat this as like a project, like an ongoing thing. You have to make sure, like, I guess one of the biggest ways that I could kind of express this is, you have to make sure that your prompting is good. You have to make sure that you're treating this AI assistant next to you like literally like a person, like an assistant sitting next to you that knows a little bit more than you about certain things. And most of the time right now, I feel like it's technical or writing or what have you, but they don't understand the bigger scope. You are managing this AI. You're managing its experience, the things that it's doing. It doesn't have the wherewithal. It kind of does, but it doesn't, like, necessarily, the general models, they don't have like the wherewithal to actually manage themselves and get better. Like you can do some of that now with like maybe some AI agents, stuff like that, if you create like flows and do all this other stuff. But my point is, if you're just talking about the conversational AI that we're kind of accustomed to, I guess, at this point, you are the manager of a team, and the team is your AI assistant and the LLM that you're dealing with. You have to look at it from that perspective, and you have to still be the one to actually make the decisions. You cannot just rely on it. You could sit on your phone all day and talk to this ChatGPT thing, and you could get so like wrapped up in it. You'll learn a lot of stuff. You'll learn a lot of new like different toolings and things like that. But again, if you don't actually put that into practice at all and like just use the tooling to like focus on actually making revenue, if you're talking about a business, right? Like if you don't actually just pick something and do it, it's not gonna do anything for you. And I think the other big thing is that a lot of times, myself included, I'm not like, I never try to be like holier than thou with any of this stuff, but I'm trying to like think what I'm, go from my experience, kind of lend that to you guys, and then also learn from myself, is that it's actually okay to make a decision that is wrong as long as you actually just make it quickly and commit to it. Then again, it of course sucks if you're like halfway into something, you realize you have to go back and do it. But my point is, like, my biggest problem, and maybe you guys can resonate with this, has always been this analysis paralysis type thing. And with AI, you could get like so unbelievably like fucked by doing that. If you just consistently just think of, how can I make this better? How can I make this better? How can I make this better? And it's not always going to be like, especially depending on how you set it up, like in an LM, it might not always remember the things that you told it, especially if you're not working, again, like a project or its own memory thing. Just make sure, like, I just see a lot of like people that are exploring AI for the first time right now, and they're really getting their hands in it, and they're not understanding the actual ramifications or the way that it works. They think it's like some sort of magic. It's not magic. In a lot of ways, it comes naturally, I feel like, to me in a lot of ways, because it's just like I'm talking to somebody else, and I'm realizing that you have to make sure that you're telling it exactly what you want and the things that you exactly are expecting, and you have to make sure that it remembers, and like you have to check with it. You almost have to talk to it like a toddler sometimes. It's like, you remember what we said yesterday about this? It's like you have to make sure that it's doing that, because if it doesn't know that, it's going to come out with some shit that says and acts extremely confident based on what you prompted it, but it's not going to take into account the prompts that you thought it knew or whatever. And it's just, you got to be careful. I think it's a really awesome thing. It's a really assistive technology. I'm super happy that it exists, because it's definitely helped me out in a lot of ways. But you have to understand that it's not magic, and you have to understand that in certain cases, it could actually, I truly feel like, hurt you more than it can help you, especially if you're, kind of prone to that analysis paralysis type thing, because depending on how you ask it for stuff, it could just continue to lead you down like these roads of like, this, then this, and this. So again, I'm not bearish on AI. I'm not saying that you don't use it. I'm just hoping that one of my hopes with a short video like this is to just kind of get you thinking on how to leverage these new tools to help your current workflows and help yourself be more efficient, but don't get lost in them. It's a new experience. We're all pretty new to it at this point, and I'm just trying to share that with you guys. So quick thing, just was on top of my mind, had some experiences with it, and just wanted to share it. If you guys enjoy this, hit the like button, subscribe, all that jazz. Greatly appreciate you guys listening. Talk to you in the next one.